Hello and welcome to a new video. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the new Sand-Attack variant of the Gliscor in the Open Ultra League. This Pokemon is by far of the new updates the best one, I feel like. Never mind, actually, P-Poke recently just changed the rankings a little bit again, also after the video that I did towards the Ultra League teams. And Steelix or Thunderfang is even a little bit higher on the list, but still, this Pokemon here definitely got a huge upgrade thanks to the move Sand-Attack. And we're gonna see it today here as well. This Pokemon is definitely back, and it's definitely also better than compared to the Open Great League. I tried it already out in the Great League, where it was fine, definitely very solid. But here in the Open Ultra League is definitely the main place where you want to run Gliscor. The typing is amazing, the coverage is amazing, this Pokemon is for sure worth building. I would really recommend you to try to build this Pokemon if you can. You're going to definitely not regret it, and we are going to have also a very strong team here. We're going to have a triple Shadow team to have a little bit of fun here as well in the beginning of the Open Ultra League, doing a little bit more damage against all of those very bulky Pokemon. And this team was absolutely amazing. You see every single battle here today as well. And yeah, as you're gonna see as well, the opponent going to have a Primarina here, easy victory, and we can move on to the next opponent. That being said, I didn't really play everything perfectly as well because yeah, was watching stuff at the side as well. So yeah, here for example, I should have stopped it a little bit earlier against the Galarian Darmanitan, which is the hardest enter to our lead. Not the smartest idea, but luckily we were able to get a crunch off against the opponent's Electrovire, allowing us to realign ourselves. And now we know that we're going to have the Ice type against our other Pokemon that we have in the back, which is going to be a Water type, and also a part Poison type, which is going to be very important because the moveset of Galarian Darmanitan is going to get completely hard-walled by the Tentacruel. There's not a single move that this Pokemon can learn, really, I think, that has neutral coverage. And so we're going to be in a very good spot here as you now can stop out into the Tentacruel. And this is going to be just a very easy matchup. We're going to be able to no shield. What? Superpower? Avalanche? Neither of them are going to do really any damage here. And so, yeah, I don't really know what they try to do here. I think Double Avalanche would have been a bit smarter from the opponent. It is stab. Mostly does even a little bit more damage with that, and also doesn't debuff itself. But as you can see here, the opponent's Zapdos is gonna go down as well, and we can move on to the next opponent. As you most likely also saw already in the title, I am gonna reveal my ELO here today, my starting ELO. And that being said as well, I definitely did a lot of battles that you haven't seen yet on YouTube, but I'm mostly gonna showcase them eventually. Yeah, for the Open Great League, and I played a little bit more spicier stuff as well sometimes, so the ranking itself is maybe a bit lower than you might expect, but we will see. We see what we're going to have here later. We're going to have the Prime Map going down after the cross combat, dropping their own defense, going to be very good because Poison Sting then is going to be enough to knock them out. Let's take a look at the next matchup. We're going to have the defense drop here onto the Feraligatr, which is actually quite important because now an Awkward Tail is threatening the KO against them, and as I still have 2 shields left, it's very likely after the debuff that they're going to use a shield here against a resisted Awkward Tail, which is really good for us. And also, all the energy that they're generating here doesn't really matter too much because we have Tentacruel, and as they're gonna decide to go for a charge move with 1 HP, it will allow us now to fully farm them down and forcing the opponent to the final matchup here with the Weezing. We're going to have the Acid Spray still on our Tentacruel, being a bit toxic with that one, but this is going to allow us to completely lock the opponent in here, as well as you're going to have super effective fast move coverage with our Gliscor, making this a very, very great matchup for us. We could use a shield here, we don't have to though, and I decided to go for Brutal Swing. Here's the thing as well, at this point, the only loose con that I have, I guess, is if I use a shield against a cheap move and they just knock me out afterwards and have Hyper Beam or something like this. I don't know, this game is literally over. We're going to be able to go for an Acid Spray here, I'm knocking them out with that, and we can move on to the next opponent. So, we have Gastrodon next. This Pokemon is going to be way more, way trickier for us to deal with because we don't have any real great answer here, but we can still deal with it with team effort. It's not that this team is weak to it, it just, there is no hard answer to it. We have 3 Pokemon that are quite neutral towards this Pokemon, and here I try to catch a move basically on the Drapion, and as you're going to have 2 Poison type Pokemon in the back, and we kind of need our lead in order to beat like those Ground-type Pokemon. I decided to swap out of here, which seems a bit weird because again, we're going to have not the best matchup here with the Drapion. Drapion has actually the worst matchup I feel like in this kind of scenario because our charge moves are both resisted. We're still going to kind of at least want to align ourselves afterwards a bit more, and we kind of want to keep our lead alive because we have kind of an BB style line where you kind of need your lead alive. But as you can see, they're going to have a Feraligatr in the back, and this team is very solid against Feraligatr, having 2 great answers in the back against this Pokemon, which is also the main reason why we're using the Drapion as well as the Tentacruel. Skull is going to now connect against the opponent here. This is going to be great as the Nidoqueen is not wanting to take this move at all. Interestingly enough there as well, the opponent still has 2 shields, but they let the move go through. They definitely could have used a shield there as well, but at this point, this game is kind of over. We're going to be able to go for the full farm down, and in the back, we will see what's going to be. It is going to be the Feraligatr, and we can just go for the Aerial Ace spam. This should be definitely it here. I think the opponent actually forfeited at this point, just like, yeah, closed the app. As you're going to see as well, they let the move go through, and we can move on to the next opponent. Cresselia. This is not as ideal. Here's like the awkward thing about this Pokemon. We don't know the moveset yet. Is it Future Sight? Is it Moonblast? Is it Grass Knot? It is Moonblast. Okay, we know of at least this already. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to swap out into the Drapion and try to take a hit here and then go just for Crunch, which is super effective and does the most amount of damage. But they swap out into the Virizion. And that is problematic because at this point, I don't know, like I'm kind of losing my best answer against Cresselia. And I cannot really need my Drapion still. So I decided to use a shield. I decided to go for a Crunch here. Not going to be able to get the KO against them, but I can at least get some time from the clock, allowing me to go into my own Gliscor, go for an Aerial Ace, and knock them out here. Or get the shield. I have to let the move go through at this point, I think. I know that there's still the Cresselia lurking, of course. They swap into the Cresselia. I can go for a big Earthquake, but I still can have to rely on the Drapion here, I think, at this point, which is a bit awkward because I cannot get to the Aerial Ace here. Aerial Ace would have been really needed. And so I decided to catch the Moonblast onto my Tentacruel, which was a Future Sight, which I did not expect whatsoever. And with this Future Sight, the game is kind of over. I could have played around if I knew that this Pokemon had Future Sight, but like this, there is nothing I can really do. We're going to have the Virizion, we have to go for the full farm down. We barely are not able to do that, which is really unfortunate, because if we would have been able to do that, I'm fairly certain we had a decent chance of still winning this battle here, which is kind of hilarious. But as we will see as well, the Crunch is not going to do enough damage, and we can forfeit and move on to the next opponent. Alone Sandslash might be the hardest answer to this team, basically beating the entire team, but then again, there is team effort, where we're going to try to use all our Pokemon to our own advantage, and as you're going to see there as well, we were able to get some fast move pressure in already with our lead, keeping the energy, being able to catch the Ice Punch here. Now we have again resisted fast move damage actually from the opponent because they're running the Shadow Claw, and we're going to be able to get a shield here as well, which is even better for us, making this a very solid matchup for me. I can let the move go through, I don't really care too much about it, and they make a big mistake by going for the Ice Punch, because Ice Punch is not enough to put us into range, and so we can still go for another Awkward Tail. This is hopefully going to be able to knock them out. It is going to knock them out. We have a one shield advantage, we have switch advantage, we have a Lugia? Why does someone want to run Lugia right now? This is like honestly one of the Pokemon that I really hope that they're gonna buff in the future. Again, because Lugia is barely playable currently, like Sky Attack. Nerf there really mattered for this Pokemon. Like the only thing that they have to do is give this Pokemon Psyshock. This is neither like overpowered or anything in this, and I'm fairly certain this Pokemon learns Psyshock. But at the current time, sadly, Lugia is not really a great Pokemon to use. We're going to have here the opponent's Feraligatr coming in. And I think we're in a solid spot as we're going to be able to go for the Aerial Ace. I know that they're not going to be at one charge move yet. Means they're going to be able to outspeed them now to the next one. And of course, as you're going to see as well, the opponent is locked into this matchup. There's nothing they can swap into. We should be able to outspeed them. And we are able to outspeed them, allowing us to get the KO here against the opponent. And we can now move on to the next one. As you can see already, this team is really, really good. We're going to have the Pidgeot against us. And this was honestly my favorite battle, I think, for today. Let's take a look at this. We're going to have the Primeape coming in. So, horrible lead. Horrible kind of save-up scenario. It's actually kind of okay. It's kind of mid. As you can see, we're going to make an interesting play. We decided to go for an Awkward Tail here. I decided to use a shield as well. And it's going to be the close combat, which is really important for what we try to do here. What we're going to try to do is we're going to try to go for the full farm down. We're not going to go ahead and go for anything else other than our fast moves. I could, of course, go for an Awkward Tail or whatever, but I have to risk it. I have to get somewhat of an advantage here. But the opponent stops out anyway, and this makes it better and worse at the same time. Better in terms of getting damage onto the opponent a bit quickly. But the other time, like the opponent is, locked into this matchup. but I didn't have the energy that I really wanted for this matchup. And so I have to play it a bit interestingly here. As you can see, I decided to also swap directly into my Tentacruel, and I will have to go for a Scald here, and I can go for a Scald in time. This is super important. This is going to be able to get the KO, even though we are double debuffed on our attack. And at this point, maybe actually just gonna try to get as much energy as possible and then just swap out afterwards. But no, they have a Baxcalibur here, which is not a Pokemon I expected whatsoever. But I have to somehow deal with it. And it has Ice Fang, and Ice Fang against something like a Gliscor is not what you want to see. And so I swap out into my Drapion, hoping I can farm them down and still get to another move, but I cannot farm them down to get to another move. And so we have a Gliscor, and we're going to have our Tentacruel, and I decided to actually go into the Gliscor because if I went into Tentacruel, they would have been able to just fully farm me down and go for an Avalanche afterwards. Here at least I was able to outspeed them, which is really important because now the opponent is very, very low, and this is low enough for us to fully farm them down, with Tentacruel still winning us this battle. Malamar is an interesting one. The reason for this one is it kinda is better for the backline that we have. And so, yeah, we kind of want to swap out, but it's also not that our lead is losing hard against this Pokemon. Funnily enough, our matchup with our lead was a bit better the last season, basically, where we were not running Sand Attack, but we were running Fury Cutter after the Wing Attack nerf. Because, yeah, of course, against Malamar, Bug-type moves are 4 times super effective, which we don't have the luxury right now anymore. But at least against, for example, the Drapion here, we're going to have super effective Sand Attacks coming in. So I guess that is at least something. So, we're going to have to let the move go through. We're going to try our best to get as much energy as possible. We could go for the full farm down, but we rather decide to go for an Aerial Ace instead. This is going to allow us to get the KO. And let's see what is coming in next. It's going to be that Malamar. And I have to use a shield here now. And this Pokemon is quite annoying. I should just go for the Earthquake, but I decided to go for the Aerial Ace. Maybe it was a mistake. It very likely was a mistake. It is a mistake. Earthquake would have most likely knocked them out there, which would have been really, really important. And now, like, they can still go for another charge move, damage me even further. And again, like, yeah, there's going to be mistakes that I have made here as well. Earthquake would have been the better move to go for. And now it's down to Tentacruel against the Malamar. By the way, this was actually the first battle that I did with this team. I learned quite a lot about this team afterwards as well, and went on a way, way better streak afterwards. So definitely something that there's a little bit of a learning curve towards this team. We will see the Tentacruel coming in here against us as well. They're going to have a shield advantage though, as we had the Acid Spray. The opponent going to go for their own charge move. It's going to be a Scald. They don't get the debuff. But what we will see as well next is that we're going to try our best with the swap here eventually. I should have swapped out way earlier most likely, but I decided to rather go ahead and go for the Acid Spray. This is going to allow the opponent to go for a charge move and knock me out, but they actually didn't. They didn't go for any charge move, and now Malamar comes back in. I can go for the knockout over the Tentacruel, but this is going to be a game over. A Scald is going to be enough, the Blizzard is enough. What is going to be? It is going to be a Scald. Well played, and we can move on to the next one. Gastrodon, that's perfect. Literally perfect matchup here for us. We have two Pokemon that are very weak to ground-type Pokemon in the back, and this is like the beauty of also Drapion here. Drapion hammocks to that Awkward Tail, allowing you to cover up some of the ground-type weakness that you have with this Pokemon is super important. As you'll see here, this is going to be now a little bit of a guessing game if we're going to get... Oh no, we're going to get debuffed here. Not 50%. I think it's only a 30% chance to get debuffed by a Scald. We get it immediately, which is completely changing the entire matchup. Luckily not on the second one. Can we get a debuff for ourselves as well? Like if we're going to be able to debuff the opponent. We're actually going to be able to debuff the opponent, which is kind of nice because they're swapping out now as well. I can go for the Acid Spray. I'm fairly certain at this point, and Aerial Ace might be even enough already against the opponent's Gastrodon, but what we have to do here as well is we have to use a shield just in case they have Water Pulse. If they're Water Pulse, they usually go straight away for it because it's like a tech move, like people don't expect it. A lot of people think it's just going to be Earth Power, which it is most of the time. But yeah, they're just running Body Slam and Earth Power apparently, and so we're gonna be able to go for the Earthquake. This is gonna get the KO, and let's see what is going to happen next. It's going to be the Walrein. This is going to be a definitely tricky one. We go for a crunch here with our Drapion, trying to fish for a debuff, I guess. But it is going to be a bit of a trickier one. The opponent is going to decide to go for a charge move, and I have to call it. This is going to be an Icicle Spear. Otherwise, I'm going to lose anyway. It's going to be the Icicle Spear. And I swap onto the Tentacruel, and I was like, okay, that's fine. It's still a matchup that I should be able to kind of deal with. We're going to try our best to go for the full farm down, but it doesn't work. And the opponent still gets another Scald. And this is completely sealing the deal here now, especially as I somehow, silly enough, went for a crunch afterwards because I thought we would get the knockout, but we didn't. And so, yeah, This is going to be sadly not a victory here. Well played by the opponent though, and yeah, Walrein is going to be able to knock us out, and we can move on to the final battle for today. Let's take a look at what they are going to run here. They're going to have a Great Deed Force. It's going to be a poison type in the Galarian Weezing, but apparently they just want to go straight for the charge move. I don't know really why they would want to do this, but this is going to be okay. We will have the Feraligatr coming in next, and I can go ahead and go for the Aerial Ace bait, which hopefully is going to work out. It does work out, and so we can go ahead and go back into the Tentacruel. Tentacruel is going to be able to tank those hits from the Feraligatr. This is like the one reason why Tentacruel is like such a strong Pokemon right now in the open world league. Like Feraligatr is basically everywhere, and you're going to have the best answer with that Pokemon here. So that is kind of a good thing for sure. We're going to go for the full farm against the Feraligatr. In comes the Weezing again. We try our best to go for the Scald, but they're sadly going to get the KO before that, which is okay. We see here, of course, our Gliscor coming in. We're gonna try our best to catch a move, which works out kind of well as well, which is going to be the Brutal Swing. We have the Weezing coming back in, but so far it looks like this is definitely manageable also for our other Pokemon here to still win. So we will see the crunch coming through. Hopefully they're gonna see like a shield or something. It would be kind of nice, but let's find out. We do not get a shield. We're gonna get the defense drop though, which can definitely benefit us later on. Sacred Sword coming through. We're gonna try our best here with our Gliscor. Let's see if we're gonna be able to KO the opponent. We are not able to. The opponent actually going to get that shield, and we decided to use a shield here as well. It's going to be the Leaf Blade coming through. Now we have a Weezing coming in again. We can go for the Aerial Ace. This is going to be enough to get them kind of low. We're going to try our best to fully farm them down. It never worked out here, but it's okay. We still have one more Pokemon to go, and this one has a ton of energy and definitely going to be able to win the battle here as well. Right, we're going to have another crunch, and this is going to be enough to knock them out. And this is going to be it for this video here as well. As you're going to see now, the Elo reveal at the end. Let me know down below, do you have your Elo already? And I will see you then. Bye bye.